Hello, my name is Asmani Cabrera. I'm from New York City. Today is October 30th, and we're up here in Catskill, Hudson Valley, with Tim Callaha and Jim Savage and a host of other great people. And we're here talking about hemp and hempcrete and building a mock-up little corner, so people could get a sense as to what the material is and how it's used in conventional building. Most people, they're very surprised to see that it's not that much different. You read about hemp in the magazines and online and all these things, and you expect it to be this otherworldly thing, but no, it's just a simple, humble building method, and it's great.
Hi. I'm Jim Savage. I'm the founder of Greenbuilt. We are trying to bring hemp lime building materials into the Northeast United States, make it into something that people will use as an alternative to existing building materials because it's non-toxic, because it's carbon sequestering, and because they're just really in a lot of ways better.
I've told Jim that I would help him build the tiny house, the hemp tiny house. I think that process is still in the works, and we'll see how that comes out. But I'd be very excited to experiment more with building with hemp. I think it's a really intriguing material.
We're working on a project called Hemp Home Tiny Plus, and what that is we're building an architect designed by Kristina Griffin, who is an award-winning architect. Built to passive house standards. It's not just a tiny house, it's a tiny house that's modular, that can be expanded upon. And so that means for a growing family, you can start with a very small place, and if you're an individual, maybe you don't need more than 300 square feet. Kristina's design is just a gorgeous design.
Passive house means that you are designing the building so that your heating system is really passive. You really only need an active heating system. When during very extreme weather, you might have to have the heating system turn on, but for most of the time, you don't need an active heating system. And we do that by super insulating, air sealing the building, and then having a ventilation system to bring fresh air in and return air out on a regular basis. And it's a proven system. I think there's like now 40,000 buildings in the world that's met the passive house standard. And there are cities in Germany, I think Frankfurt, that requires to meet the standard. So, I'm hoping that I can use my knowledge of this standard to work on the hemp tiny house, see if we can meet it. It's a little more challenging when you have a small building because there's more surface area to the building. But I plan to use the energy modeling that I have to see if we can do that.
Maybe then you become a couple and you want to add a bedroom. You can add a bedroom. You have a kid, you can add another bedroom. It's really something that's made for growing families and for people in all parts of the country, and it will be designed to be passive house standards, which is extremely energy efficient, extremely airtight, and extremely comfortable. And I don't know, it's going to be beautiful also.
Generally, when you meet the passive house standard, you're reducing your use of energy for heating to about 10%.
Yeah, so those two should fit the outside and go past, and then these two should fit the inside and be more than enough for the inside. If you need to make other ones, you can do that too.
So basically what happened here was that Tim sent these drawings and Nick
Hopefully built them right, but we'll see.
he built them. If they're not right, then
No, it looks great. It looks great. Hey everybody, welcome back. This was deliberately sort of made up to be pretty easy to deal with. So this is supposed to illustrate some of kind of basic techniques, but as I said, and I can't say that's enough, the forming, planning ahead for your forming in a design and anticipating, conflicts, and the simpler you have it, the easier the whole thing is gonna go in terms of doing the form work. Hopefully, once the panelized system is completed and is in the process of being perfected, a lot of those issues are gonna be dealt with, but I still really think this is a really viable approach. So,
I don't think we do.
You don't really, it takes this stuff a while, so, you can let it sit there and rest, and then as the line sets, that's really what makes it strong. It's really, like I said, it's amazing how.
Thank you.
Yeah, you really do see the layers.
We could probably get away with it.
I imagine it's going to be when we're tamping down on the layers above it that it really compromises.
Well, we can let's just do it, because we can overlap it.
Yeah?
You don't.
Oh, so you put a little bit,
It's down here like that. Yep. So this is why you'd want to have the top be able to be, adjusted as necessary.
Okay, get past the top. I'm gonna hit it on this side first when you're ready.
Yep, let's do it. Cool. Yep.
If I sneak in behind you, I can get one right down here. Whenever you like it.
Hold on. Go down just a tad. Okay, right there. That should be good. You can, wherever you are in your process, but you can, once this is dried, and you can put the window in the opening.
And the frame of the window, let's say, is about this wide. Okay, so I guess the frame of the window above can support the hemp above, only above the window, but what about this section and this section? What keeps that hemp from collapsing?
It doesn't.
Well, if moisture can't travel out of the building envelope, it's gonna condense somewhere, and it's gonna sit, and then whatever it's up against is gonna rot. Like if you ever, I've done the exact same thing as you, ripped apart an old house, post and beam, no insulation, bone dry, almost too dry.
Yeah.
And then you have to do a rehab on a house from the 80s, fiberglass insulation,
Right,
plywood,
right,
tie
right,
back,
right.
and the plywood's all rotted, there's
Yeah.
mildew, black mold
Yeah.
all over, because the moisture sits in there up against the tie back, and just molds and does whatever
Yeah.
inside there. So it has to, like you're saying, you can't let air fluctuate in and out and cool the house, but if you can stop that while allowing moisture to.
Yeah, I wanted to hear you explain it, because it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain these concepts,
Well,
but something
I
that
think just
Ken
the,
can explain. is
well,
nice
I
to
think just the
hear.
notion, the whole breathability is just a bad term, and it's thrown the whole conversation off. So we say, well, you want to breathe air, right? But you want an airtight enclosure. You don't want the air to just come willy-nilly through the enclosure.
In fact, I'm afraid to
and-
ever use that word breathability, because
You
all
wanna
of a
breathe
sudden.
through
Right,
your
breathability is
Oh,
just
yeah,
the
that's
wrong-
right, you're right, that's,
Right.
Does airtightness mean no drafts?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, airtightness
Breathability
means,
is a really good term to
airtightness
use.
means like tight as a drum.
Right,
It's tight, yeah.
breathability is a very appropriate term to use for this, so you should,
For the vapor, right.
add into that,
For the
no
moisture.
drafts, like airtightness, no drafts.
I think that,
You want-
I think passive house people usually say vapor permeability.
Yeah, yeah, you want
And we
moisture.
want that in
I mean, you want the moisture to breathe through the assembly, not the air.
So, we say breathability, it's a little bit vague.
It gets
Yeah.
your brain going in the wrong
I
direction.
tell people it's like Gore-Tex. Lets the water vapor through, but won't let water through. You know, it's a barrier on some levels, but breathable on others.
Well,
As opposed to an
breathability-
old rubber rain jacket where you sweat and then you actually get wetter inside.
Well,
Yeah.
but, I mean, the technical term for it is that it's hygroscopic.
Hygroscopic.
I bet you have to, but it's the same idea, you still have to explain what that is, and that's just that it will.
Really. I like yours.
Hygroscopic means what?
Means it will absorb water. It has
And
a-
release it.
And release it, absorb and release.
So we can just say it's airtight but wicks moisture, is that works?
It's airtight, no drafts, and it's breathable.
Vapor, moisture,
So this is why you charge the big bucks.
vapor.
Yeah, right.
I want the home to be like a being, it's like a being, it's like a living, breathing being.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I use that, I don't know if that's a very good way to describe it, but to me, I mean, vapor permeable works for me, I guess it doesn't work for other people. But I mean, to me, that describes what's really going on. Water vapor is able to permeate the surface of this, it's able to permeate the wall, but without any negative effects.
It seems to regulate the moisture between the interior and the exterior. So if it's very dry in the house in the winter, it will take moisture from outside and put it, and increase the humidity inside.
True.
If it's very, humid in the house, I mean, one of the reasons that people in the testing in the UK, what they found is that people are comfortable at lower temperatures in the winter and higher temperatures in the summer in a hemp house, because their physical perception of it is also based on the humidity and not just on the temperature. And so it does regulate interior humidity too.
But Jim, the converse of that is, on an extremely humid day, let's say right here in Peekskill, wherever we are, on a very humid day, why wouldn't that humidity transfer to the interior of a home and make it less comfortable on the interior?
I don't know, but it doesn't. We're looking at making this as a prototype that we're going to be using in situ construction techniques, but at the same time, we are developing a panelized process where we will be able to accelerate the building process and allow us to replicate it. Yes, we want to replicate it. We want to replicate it with variations so that people can not live in the same box. So people can live in different types of houses depending on what their needs are. We want to build versions of it that can become multiple stories. We want to build versions of it that if you have land, you can expand across your land. And we want to build versions of it that can be completely off the grid.
Yep.
That's going to take time, but this prototype is really the beginning of the whole thing and shows that it can be done, that you can make a really energy efficient, really healthy house out of hemp lime and do it in a way that is efficient, replicable, and we've got a great crew working on it, a great design team. In addition to Kristina, Tim Callaha is part of our design team. He's consulting on it. Ken Levinson, who's the head of New York Passive House, is consulting on it. And our building crew, this is actually the site that we're going to be building it. Our building crew, led by Nick Zackos and Casson Kennedy, are very committed to building healthy structures built out of natural materials.
Well, I think it's great that a lot of people have great visions with what they want to do with hemp, and a lot of people that I meet come up with really great ideas. I have some myself, but we're still really bogged down by the legislation and the red tape. The legislation for what's legal and the red tape is conducting business as usual. It's just there's so much now that it's very restrictive. So a lot of people have great ideas of kind of how it would be an ideal way to live. Wouldn't it be great if we could all live in a hemp house and you know, be more self-sufficient and more off the grid if you want to go that way, but we're still in the matrix. It's difficult. It's kind of, it's something that I think we're envisioning, but it probably will take maybe decades even to really realize.
Envision it all the more in detail.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth putting in the efforts to start it, and maybe some other person will finish.
Yep, I get a call.
Hi, my name is Oleg Mariasis. I'm here with Magic Within. I'm working with Jim Savage. We're working on a project called Greenbuilt. We're building a tiny home out of hemp, Hempcrete, mix of hemp and lime. And today we're here at the workshop actually building a couple of walls out of hemp. And it's the best material for construction. It has great properties for insulation. It's mold resistant, and we're really excited about building many houses and around the country and then around the world using this material. People currently live in houses that are often using toxic materials, and there are often molding issues and other things that impact the health in negative ways and cause very serious health issues. Hemp, we see hemp as resolving a lot of that, and it's a plant, so it will create a great environment for people to live. You feel like you're surrounded by a living organism, which is the house, and it's very environmentally friendly. As a matter of fact, it continues to sequester carbon for almost 100 years after it's built, so it continues to breathe in pollutants from outside and clears the atmosphere. So we'll be reducing pollution with our houses for a very, very long time. So the more houses we build using hempcrete, the better the environment will be. And of course, the construction process itself is much cleaner than using the standard methods. Concrete currently causes 5% of carbon production on our planet, which is massive. So we'd like to lower that percentage and inevitably eliminate it, because there's no reason to harm our planet for any reason at this point. We have the availability of we're able to use nature to live in harmony with this planet. So really excited about this project. And
what's your role in it? I noticed you're doing some
Yes.
technical work, and you mentioned doing a crowdfunder.
Yes, so we're helping with branding, with the logo, and with the name, the logo, marketing, and we're working right now on a Kickstarter for Greenbuilt to build this prototype tiny home. We are launching in a couple of weeks, and gathering footage here today from the workshop of the actual building of the walls, because that's the material we'll be using. So yeah, very, very excited about that.
And you have a fancy sort of camera setup.
Yes, yeah, we're using 6 GoPros to create a virtual reality style video where people will be able to explore the workshop from all angles.
Maybe we could link to it.
Yes, it's going to be on YouTube. We're going to have a Greenbuilt channel coming out, and it's going to be on the Kickstarter. So once the Kickstarter page is launched, people will get to see the video and view it on their phones and view it on YouTube on their computer by moving it around. So
That's excellent.
thank you.
Thank you, Oleg. Thank you for
very much.
talking with us.
Thank you.
So, buenas tardes. Les habla Rene David y soy participante de este taller de trabajo con la fibra cáñamo, una fibra controversial por su asociación con productos como el cannabis, pero en este caso es una fibra que se emplea generalmente en la agricultura para el alimento del ganado y la construcción. Es una fibra milenaria, se ha usado por muchos años en Francia, donde se ha construido puente con este tipo de fibra mezclada con otros, con la cal, es la mezcla y el agua. Se conoce también que Japón ha usado este tipo de fibra, el cáñamo, China, y hoy en día países como los Estados Unidos, Canadá, Latinoamérica, en Brasil encontramos el uso, y en Colombia, más bien en la industria textil, más que en la industria de la construcción. Uruguay también se dice que ha empleado esta fibra y me interesa porque la mezcla del cáñamo, la cal y el agua produce una sustancia que es viable para la construcción de paredes exteriores e interiores en el hogar. No son paredes de fuerza, son paredes simplemente de revestimiento, y se conoce las propiedades antitóxicas de este material. Personas que sufren del asma, personas sensibles a químicas, usualmente se benefician de este tipo de mezcla. Una vez más, del cáñamo, la cal y el agua, que crean una solidez tal que permite ese tipo de beneficio. Además, se conoce que tiene el beneficio de no permitir el incendio con facilidad. Es otro beneficio, ¿no? Entonces tenemos beneficios de la salud, beneficios de seguridad, y el beneficio del costo puede que sea otro beneficio a largo plazo si no estamos gastando dinero en medicinas y en otro tipo de elementos para adicionar a las paredes que estamos construyendo. Entonces pienso que hay un beneficio a largo plazo. Quizás el coste inicial no sea tal, pero bueno, es interesante acudir a este taller aquí en los Catskills para llevarlos a la construcción de nuestras casas, ¿no? De nuestros hogares, y quizás llevarlo a otros países, ¿no? En Europa se usa mucho, en España, en Holanda, en Francia, como dije anteriormente, en Inglaterra, en Irlanda también. Así que creo que es una oportunidad muy buena para conocer un nuevo material, o un material que renace una vez más en nuestras vidas, y que creo que es una muy buena idea explorarlo, trabajarlo y conocerlo en aras de preservar nuestra salud, nuestra economía y nuestra seguridad. Muchas gracias.
My interest in hemp comes from green building and sustainability, and I've been working with it for about 2 years on several projects that are in various stages of progress. I've been working a lot also with integrating digital fabrication techniques with hemp. You know, again, this is not like a space age thing, it's just another material, you know, and that's one of the fun things about it. So I'm involved in green building projects, off-grid housing, and my background is in architectural design and digital fabrication, so yeah.
I noticed you were designing some living wall systems using 3D printing.
Not 3D printing per se, you know, 3D printing is like kind of a catchphrase that's in the mind sphere right now, but it's more of a subtractive method of CNC work. Mm-hmm. So just making molds like we humans have been doing for the longest time, but using kind of techie methods to doing so. So as a 3D artist, just building out forms in 3D, and then using fabrication techniques like CNC mills to then make the forms, and then using age-old molding techniques and mixing, taking hemp and pouring that in. So one project is a vertical wall, a vertical green wall that will be host to plants, and the vertical wall happens to be curvy, you know, and I get the curves by my manufacturing techniques, which with the CNC mill, and it happens to be made out of hemp because that's the material. So it's not space age, it's like very, you know, very normal kind of stuff.
And you were also using the mycelium? Did I heard you mention,
yeah.
so that's another material from the fungus?
Yeah, mycelium likes to, you know, whether it's corn husks or brown rice flour or rye berry or earth or a dead squirrel or rotting tree.
Oh, geez.
You know, mycelium likes to, you know, do its thing, and it's been doing its thing for, you know, centuries, eons maybe. So yeah, you know, just happen to use hemp and mycelium. Again, it's not rocket science, but it sounds new and, you know, like innovative, and I hope you think so, because it's fun. It is, and I like to think so. But at the same time, it's not anything beyond crazy. You know, it's fun. You know, to see how both materials react, and they're both very like resilient, and that's really kind of like the point. Like, why not use like something else, like you know, whatever other material? Well, with mycelium, you know, there's a certain intelligence that kind of energy has. You know, it grows, and you could kind of just let it do its thing. Hemp also the same thing. 14 weeks from seed to harvest, it just does its thing. So, trying to take processes that are part of natural phenomena, and that you don't have to, like, you know, micromanage every single thing. Like, there is that as well, but, you know, just trying to take things that nature already does really well and kind of being like, hey, let's put this and this together, instead of having to do heavily embodied processes, which we're really good at. Like humans, like, we've developed worldwide networks of manufacturing, like mining lithium from Africa, and this from over here, and that from over there, that from over there, and then assembling it in one place and then shipping it out all over the world again. All really great stuff. That's how we have our cameras and our phones and our pens and plastic, and it's great. But, you know, we should also find ways that nature does most of that work for us and keep it local. So that's what we're doing.
No cigarettes in this picture.
Give me another excuse to do this.
We will.
Tim, what's your next project?
Hey, it was a pleasure.
We've got,
See you on the next one, huh?
we've got several we are working out. We've got a new one coming up in Pennsylvania and another one out in the Pacific Northwest.